If you've seen Percy Jackson, then you know the Greek gods can be brutal with their punishments. From turning mortals into monsters to cursing them for eternity, they can do just about anything they feel like doing. So what made these three people so different? Well, the kind of punishments they got were pretty rough. These were the three hated by the gods: Sisyphus, Tantalus, and Ixion. Let's start with Sisyphus, who lived in the ancient city of Corinth. Now, Sisyphus wasn't a typical guy. Some called him the smartest guy around, though wisdom wasn't always his strong suit. You see, he came from a family line of troublemakers, including the infamous Prometheus, who dared to challenge the mighty Zeus himself. One day, Sisyphus came across a scene involving Zeus, disguised as an eagle, snatching up the beautiful young Ixion. And being the cunning fellow he was, Sisyphus saw a golden opportunity. Now, Corinth was a grand city, but it had a big problem: a serious shortage of drinking water. And guess what? Ixion happened to be the daughter of Sisyphus, the river god, who was pretty torn up about her disappearance. Sensing a chance to kill two birds with one stone, Sisyphus struck a deal with Sisyphus. Reveal the truth about Ixion's whereabouts in exchange for a fresh spring to quench Corinth's thirst. Sisyphus agreed, and presto! Corinth had itself a brand new, top-notch water supply. But as they say, every silver lining has its cloud, and soon enough, Zeus got wind of Sisyphus's actions. Furious, Zeus ordered Thanatos, the god of death, to take Sisyphus out. But Sisyphus, being the sly fox he was, had a trick up his sleeve. When Thanatos showed up, ready to collect his soul, Sisyphus showered him with compliments and gifts, throwing death off his game long enough to slip away. But you know how these stories go. Good fortune can't last forever. Eventually, Thanatos caught up with Sisyphus, and the jig was up. With a resigned sigh, Sisyphus surrendered, ready to face whatever fate had in store. Led by Chiron, Sisyphus journeyed to the underworld, where he stood before the displeased Hades. With a well-rehearsed plea, Sisyphus begged for just one day back in the land of the living to settle some scores and ensure a proper send-off for himself. And lo and behold, Hades granted his wish, with a catch: he had to return by nightfall. So Sisyphus made his way back to Corinth, reunited with his wife, and dodged death once again. But, as they say, what goes around comes around. When Sisyphus faced Thanatos once more, his cleverness couldn't save him. Hades sentenced him to Tartarus, where his eternal punishment was to roll a boulder up a hill, only for it to come crashing back down every time he reached the top. And so the tale of Sisyphus serves as a timeless reminder that you can't cheat fate forever. And if you thought that was rough, you're not prepared for what happened to this next guy. So, Tantalus lived in the distant kingdom of Phrygia, and guess what? He wasn't just any ordinary guy. He was the son of none other than Zeus himself. Fancy, right? Tantalus was the son of Zeus and a woman named Pluto. Thanks to his divine heritage, he scored an invite to the swanky banquets up on Olympus. Now, Tantalus wasn't just there for the food, although who could resist a bite of that divine nectar and ambrosia? But here's the twist. He had a bit of a sticky situation. Couldn't resist sneaking some of that immortal stuff for himself. Wait, is that why he was punished? No. The gods knew, and they turned a blind eye because they enjoyed his company. Feeling grateful, Tantalus threw a mega banquet to thank the gods. Invites went out to Zeus, Hermes, and Demeter, the A-listers of Olympus. Meanwhile, Tantalus asked his son, Pelops, to do party prep. Pelops was excited, planning on impressing his dad. But Tantalus had a more sinister plan in mind. When the gods showed up, they were treated like royalty as expected. The banquet kicked off with everyone having fun. But here's where things got weird. Zeus noted his grandson was MIA. He asked him where Pelops was gone. Tantalus reassured Zeus that he'd be there soon. Just as everyone was getting hungry, the cook brought out a mouth-watering stew that smelled like heaven. Now at this time, Persephone had also disappeared, so Demeter was a little distracted and dug into the stew. But the scam was up when Tantalus slid the stew over to Zeus and Hermes. Zeus realized immediately that it was human flesh. Tantalus claimed that he had wanted to sacrifice his son to the gods. But Demeter was also pissed. Tantalus was banished to Tartarus. His punishment? Standing in a lake, water just out of reach. The fruit trees nearby taunt him too, with their juicy fruits always just out of grasp. Meanwhile, Zeus and the gang felt guilty about Pelops, so they brought him back to life, looking even better than before. Yikes! So maybe this demigod deserved what was coming his way. But what about this next guy? Well, we'll let you be the judge of that. Now, Ixion wasn't exactly what you'd call a saint. Nope, he ruled over the Lapiths in the kingdom of Thessaly with an iron fist, making sure everyone knew who was boss. And boy, did he love his horses. His stud farm was the envy of all Greece, filled with the finest stallions you ever did see. But here's where things take a turn. Ixion set his sights on Dia, the beautiful daughter of Dioneus, a nobleman in the region. He promised Dioneus some of his prized horses in exchange for Dia's hand in marriage. Well, Dioneus agreed, thinking his daughter would be well taken care of. But after the wedding bells had rung and the vows were set, Ixion didn't hold up to his end of the bargain. He kept all his horses to himself, leaving Dioneus fuming mad. So what did Dioneus do? He took matters into his own hands and stole Ixion's beloved horses from under his nose. Well, you can imagine how Ixion felt about that. He was furious, and he wasn't about to let Dioneus get away with it. Oh no, he had a plan brewing in that scheming mind of his. He lured Dioneus to his palace under the guise of making amends, but really, he had something far more sinister in store. Ixion led Dioneus to a new part of the palace, one with a moat. And when Dioneus leaned over to get a closer look, you know what happened? Ixion gave him a little push, sending poor Dioneus tumbling into that moat, filled with burning embers. The poor man cried out in agony as the flames licked at his skin, and before he met his fiery end, he saw the charred body of his own daughter beside him. So did he get away with this? Well, it's tough to say, but before we reveal what happened next, hit that like button and that little bell icon. We can keep revisiting these crazy stories from ancient Greece. Anyway, even as Ixion watched his father-in-law meet a gruesome fate, his sins would come back to haunt him. He was stripped of his throne and cast out into the streets to wander as a vagabond. Everywhere he went, people spat at him, threw stones, and let him know he was no king anymore. Years went by, and Ixion, beaten down by his wickedness, seemed to have a change of heart. He begged the gods for forgiveness, hoping to right the wrongs of his past. Did they forgive him? It's complicated. Zeus felt a twinge of pity for Ixion, but he decided to give Ixion another chance. Invited him up to Olympus for some fancy banquets with the gods. But Ixion's bad side just couldn't stay hidden for long. So what did he do? He fell head over heels for Hera, Zeus's own wife. He even confessed his, desires to her. But Hera wasn't having any of it. She revealed it to Zeus, telling him everything. Now Zeus, being Zeus, had to put Ixion to the test. So he whipped up a cloud that looked just like Hera and sent it Ixion's way. What did Ixion do? He fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, thinking he was getting cozy with the real deal. Well, let me tell you, Zeus wasn't too happy about that. Oh no, he was furious. He chucked a lightning bolt straight at Ixion, sending his spirit plummeting down into the depths of Tartarus. And you know what they say about Tartarus. It's not exactly a 5-star resort. Ixion ended up strapped to this burning wheel with serpents slithering all around him, doomed to spin around and around for all eternity. Yeah, talk about a rough punishment. But hey, I guess that's what happens when you mess with the big guy upstairs. If you want to check out some other unfortunate mortals who ended up falling victim to the gods and their moods, make sure you click on this next video.